If one were to look at what is happening as if it were a massive initiation ritual, then things may begin to make more sense. The initiation ritual can be found throughout all of human history. We find it in ancient tribes and religions, all the way up to modern gangs, fraternities, and in the military. Psychological studies have taught us how initiation rituals work, primarily how they increase a person's desire to conform to the group they are being initiated into. The ritual is almost always the same. First, the initiate is isolated. Their familiar everyday routines are disrupted, and their normal rules of living are altered. The initiates are made to look the same. Their heads may be shaved, they may be given matching outfits, or they may be instructed to wear a mask. These techniques symbolically strip the initiate of their unique identity, so they can cease seeing themselves as an individual and begin seeing themselves as part of the group. The wearer of the mask loses his previous identity and assumes a new one. The initiate is then subjected to just enough trauma to put them in a mild state of cognitive dissonance. This dissonance puts the initiate into a state of confusion and anxiety. They are now ready to be transformed into a member of the initiating group. In their isolation, thoughts they have ignored or buried for years suddenly become unavoidable. Emotions are triggered, and a new window of thought is opened within the initiate's mind. And in this state, the new normal is introduced. This worldwide initiation ritual is creating a massive separation in humanity. The obedient and the defiant are being drawn apart like a chemistry purification experiment. And it would seem that the obedient ones are being initiated into something. The new normal, the new age, the new world order. A world where science no longer matters. A world where blind obedience is all that is respected. And if this is a worldwide initiation ritual, then we can certainly expect the obedient initiated to be turned against the rest of us.
What's up, YouTube? It's Biblical Truther. That video I just played, that's pretty much lays it out where we're at, and the whole idea or ritual behind these masks. You know, I just left Walmart, and it's sad because I live in Mississippi, and Tate Reeves the other day had lifted all the restrictions and masks and all that, and still there's so many people wearing them. But you've seen this picture right here in that video, right? That was from the Denver airport. It was a mural painted, and when the theorists got a hold of all these pictures and started decoding them, they covered them up. They're no longer visible, as far as I know, in the airport. But what I want to get to is this whole thing that they're doing around the vax and all that. You know, they're telling us that it's what's good for the community or for, you know, people, and to make you feel bad like you're transmitting something that's not transmissible through the air, and it's killed by UV light, which is crazy in and of itself because that's what the sun gives off, right? And if it weren't so, why do you see all these UV virus killing devices for your cell phones and for other things sold all in these stores? Now, people think that this is going to go away one day, but they wouldn't have put so much effort into stocking these stores with designer masks and masks that you can design yourself just to let it go away. But this is communitarianism at its core, and they will not tell you that because they don't want to let people know what this is that they're pushing, that most people are falling for. But this is communitarianism. Communitarianism is a philosophy that emphasizes the connection between the individual and the community. Its overriding philosophy is based upon the belief that a person's social identity and personality are largely molded by community relationships, with a smaller degree of development being placed on individualism. Although the community might be a family, communitarianism usually is understood in a wider philosophical sense as a collection of interactions among a community of people in a given place, or among a community who share an interest or who share a history. Communitarianism usually opposes extreme individualism and disagrees with extreme laissez-faire policies that neglect the stability of the overall community. Let's see what laissez-faire means. It is an economic system in which transactions between private parties or private groups of people are free from, or almost free from, any form of economic interventionism such as regulation and subsidies. As a system of thought, laissez-faire rests on the axioms that the individual is the basic unit in the society and has a natural right to freedom, that the physical order of nature is a harmonious and self-regulating system, and that corporations are creatures of the state, and therefore the citizens must watch them closely due to their propensity to disrupt the Smithian spontaneous order. Let's see the individualism. Individualism is the moral stance, political philosophy, ideology, and social outlook that emphasizes the moral worth of the individual. Individualists promote the exercise of one's goals and desires, and so value independence and self-reliance, and advocate that interests of the individual should achieve precedence over the state or social group, while opposing external interference upon one's own interests by society or institutions such as government. Individualism is often defined in contrast to totalitarianism, collectivism, and more corporate social forms, such as communitarianism. So as you see, it's right up there with totalitarianism and, yes, communism. It's pretty crazy, man. But I want to hit on something else that I haven't made a video about, but I've been wanting to, and it's about this. That is the golden calf, or the golden statue of Trump. You know, a friend of mine at work, his uncle has started a Telegram group. It's called Americans United for Truth, I think it's called. But it's a bunch of, T-Man supporters, and all they seem to want to post is things, propaganda videos that support Trump. So me being who I am and feeling led to spread the real truth, I've posted more than enough evidence on this Telegram group to show that they have all been lied to, and wouldn't you know it, I'm completely ignored. Everything I've posted, they just don't comment on it. Most probably haven't watched any of it. But I posted that video in that group when I seen this the other day, and I put the little caption under it that said, "Worship your God, Babylon," because that's what it is. And I had a woman today on this group say that was dumb. And of course, most everyone has seen already the stage that is an old Nazi symbol. And after that started getting called out, the mainstream had to put out an article saying that the people who designed the stage were mostly and pretty much 100% Democrat supporters. So all these Republicans are like, oh no, it wasn't us. We were just, oblivious to it, and it was these Democrats. It was one of their businesses that supports, all their campaign money has been donated to Democrats. So it was them. They set us up. Even though Laura Ingram's in there doing the Heil Hitler sign right after she finished her little speech, and I believe there was another senator who did it as well, or a public official. Not sure if he was a senator, but then the people in the audience, now this is CPAC, so it's all Republicans, and you can hear them in the crowd chanting Sieg Heil. And I don't know what that means, but it seems to me that I've seen it in, a movie called Auschwitz. But anyway, I just wanted to put this up there and talk about this communitarianism, because it's more in depth, but it's the same thing Hitler did. He came in cutting taxes, creating jobs, setting up this new system to fight communism. And the government he was setting up was a communist system. Same thing this Jasara and Nasara is going to be for us here. It's right there in the name. It's a national and global system. It's going to be, ran by the same bankers that run the Fed right now, for our country at least. So it's terrible, because these people talk as Christians. They're constantly talking about God, and one person had made a comment on there the other day that kind of triggered me a little bit. They said that all this is going to happen. It's going to take place on God's time and Trump's time. And I couldn't help myself. I had to lay into him with some real scripture, because God could care less what time and Trump's on. I could promise you, Trump's time don't have to line up with God's time before God can act. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life, let alone a professing Christian say it. But man, that was I don't even know. But I also been hearing a lot of talk about Trump creating his new party, which I don't think it will, but they even made a logo for the Patriot Party. Check it out. Now, we all know as real Christians that the Lion of the tribe of Judah is Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. And it's blasphemous, in my opinion, and again, all this is just my opinion, for them to even use that as the logo. But I was looking at it, and what most of these satanic influencers and their symbols, they usually have some hidden stuff. And I don't remember exactly in the Old Testament if it was Isaiah or Ezekiel, but there was a verse that says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. And yes, for those of you who've seen Jonathan Kleck's work, that's one of the things that he talks about, but it is in the Bible. But regardless, so I'm looking at this logo, and I'm turning it upside down, and I'm just looking at it, and well, wouldn't you know, this is a little odd the way they have this drawn. Look at this. Yeah, it looks like a little person decapitated. And I started telling these people on this Telegram group about the 7 Noahide laws, because they hadn't heard anything about that either. And nobody bothered to look it up, just like Operation Trust over in Russia. That is the exact same plan as the whole Legion, or 17th letter of the alphabet group, claimed to be doing, while they brought in their Communist Party. So it looks like a little humanoid figure type thing decapitated, and I thought that was kind of crazy. But some people might say, oh, you're reading a little too into this, but maybe you should do a little more research and see that this is the type of thing that these people do. It's quite disturbing, but it's also sad at the same time that there's a lot of professing Christians that just don't want to see any of this stuff. They want to just full on believe the strong delusion that's going on and equate Trump and God together, and no mention of Christ, no mention of Yeshua, not a word. It's always trusting God and Trump. You know what I'm saying? It hurts to see these things happen, because even though the Bible says, broad is the way that leads us to destruction, and many will go there, and narrow is the way, and few there be that find it. It's disheartening sometimes, man. It gets tiring talking to these professing Christians, and they're just oblivious. But then when you bring it to their attention, they don't want no part of it. They just want to stay in their delusion. So, like Jesus told his apostles, you go into a man's house and you tell them what's going on, and if they receive you, then stay a while, teach them more as much as you can. But if they do not receive you, then dust your feet off and move on. So that's kind of what I have to do with these types of people. But it's just sad, man, real sad. But I still pray for them. They are my brothers and sisters, so I pray for them. Hopefully they'll get a little spiritual inkling to maybe check some of this stuff out. But don't see that any of them have done that. So that's just, it's terrible. But on a crazier note, yesterday the CDC came out with the zombie preparedness. Have you guys seen that? For whatever reason, I cannot seem to get the videos to play, but I think Fox did a little thing on it yesterday, and some other news entities did a little thing on it. And I did a video, I'll put a link in the description, about 6 months ago about this very thing. I believe, that there's a lot of truth in movies, and there's movies like The Cell that use signals through a cell phone to trigger people into killing each other. There's what's the other one? Kingsman. When the little Secret Service guy or Kingsman guy was in the church, and they let the little signal out through the cell phones, and everybody in the church started killing each other. And I 100% believe that the people who take this jab very possibly could become the zombies that they show us, in all these movies. But it's just crazy, because the technology that they're putting into people is programmable, wirelessly programmable. They can wirelessly update your vax. How in the world is that even possible? If it's a medical thing. That's why a lot of people's like, why does Bill Gates have anything to do with this? He's a computer nerd. Well, that should tell you something. Something in this thing requires someone like him. But people don't want to do their own research, and I don't get it personally, but it is what it is, but I do believe when this 5G system goes up, it's gonna be the situation. And I wanted to show you this. It's up at the head of my road that I live on, but every power line or telephone pole all the way out in the country where I live, every telephone pole has those big wires looped up on them. And I do believe that's what's going on, because I believe my wife had found an article. Actually, it was from our electric company that were saying that they were fixing to start upgrading to the 5G system, and it's going to be in everyone's house. And I was talking to a guy at work today. He had seen an article yesterday about radar. It's like a radar system through the Wi-Fi. If you don't know what Wi-Fi is, research that. It's gonna be the new Wi-Fi. But what these light bulbs, these LED bulbs, do, that Obama made the incandescent ones illegal and made everyone have, or every light bulb sold be LED. And these things can broadcast, Li-Fi or Wi-Fi through light. But these lights that he was showing me in this article, and I'm gonna have to get it and do another video on it, but these things emit radar signatures, and it gives them a 3D layout of your house. Whatever bulb, whatever room, they can get a real-time 3D image of your house, and that's pretty striking. So when Trump became president, he supposedly took that little regulation away and said that we can start selling incandescent bulbs here in America, and I still can't find them. One way, shape, or form, whether it looks like an old light bulb or not, it's still an LED. So they're gonna have this stuff, and they're gonna have wireless hubs that broadcast this stuff from the telephone poles. And if these things are in your house, then I guess they'll have real-time images of everything and where everything's at, in case they got to come round you up for not getting jabbed or something. They'll have the whole layout of your house. That's wild, man. Wild. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to point out is this golden idol. And yesterday I was watching another video, and I seen this. This is from India. Check it out.
Likeness of Trump. And the strange thing about this is, yeah, I haven't hit the strange thing yet. The strange thing about this is that the people over there, they have a temple that looks like a U.
So now they're making little Trump Buddhas. So this image of the beast that's gonna come eventually, that's what that reminded me of. Not only the little CPAC golden statue of Trump, but when I seen this yesterday, I was just like, wow, India's got little Buddha Trumps. And I made a video months and months ago when they were taking down statues again. I talked about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they were left standing, when all the people of Babylon, started worshiping, when they were required to, they would bow down to these idols that Nebuchadnezzar had erected. And I talked about why are they removing the statues but leaving the bases. If you're going to remove a statue, take the base off with it. You know what I'm saying? 3 weeks after I made that video, the Satanic Temple came out and said they were going to put Baphomet statues up everywhere there was a Confederate racist statue. And it never happened. But still, me working in New Orleans, we have a lot of Confederate statues around this entire area, and most of them's been removed now, but the bases are still there. So what are they going to put on these bases? Why haven't they taken them away? If it was such a big deal to remove the monument, the base, I would expect, is part of the monument, correct? So what are they going to put in the place of these statues? Well, I believe they're going to put images of the beast. So India's already got their image of the beast. It's a Trump Buddha. That is so crazy. So I asked my wife yesterday, You know, what are they going to do down there in Rio de Janeiro, you know, where the big Christ statue is on top of the mountain there? They're going to take that off and put a big old Trump. But that's what it seems like, man. These people are worshiping this man, putting him above Christ himself, professing Christianity while they do it. It's crazy to see this stuff, man. It's crazy to watch. But I just wanted to bring this out there. We need to look into this communitarianism, because it just removes all individual rights, takes that away. But that was my main point of this video, is putting this out there so you can do your own research on communitarianism. It is communism. You know, it's just another word like nationalism. It's Marxism. Marxism is communism. It's all the isms are the same, you know. And Trump is a professing nationalist, which is just another word for communism or communist. So we need to educate our people, man. This is gonna be the state-run society that the Bible tells us is coming. And because the people are gonna be so deceived by this, we are gonna become the enemies. And as I stated with the Noahide laws, you know, they're gonna cause us to be beheaded for it. And I'm completely fine with that, you know. But anyway, check some of this stuff out, man. We need to continue to try and educate these people. Something may click, you know. Can't just stop talking about it. It's got to be talked about. So that's my video for today, man. I love you guys.
Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints,